Hello everyone, I am the Animation Therapist, and welcome to the Animation Therapist channel. In today's episode, we will discuss attachment styles. This is a topic that cuts across our childhood and adulthood, and it has a significant impact in our relationships. To do justice to this discussion is no other person than Dr. Meredith, who is a frequent guest on this platform. Welcome to the Animation Therapist channel once again, Dr. Meredith. Thank you for having me. I'm so glad to be here on the Animation Therapist channel. So let's get started. Can you give us a brief introduction of what attachment styles entails and why is it that important for us to know? Thank you for putting this important topic up for discussion. Just as everyone has a unique personality, we all have a unique way of relating to others, based on our experiences in childhood, particularly in our relationships with our caregivers. These attachment styles can shape our expectations for closeness and intimacy, as well as our coping strategies when relationships become challenging. Understanding our own attachment style and the attachment style of your partner can lead to more fulfilling and healthy relationships. It is important to know that attachment styles can influence everything from our friendships and romantic relationships to how we handle conflict and our approach to parenting. So by becoming aware of your own attachment style, you can begin to identify the thought patterns and behaviors that may be keeping you from connecting with others or leading to unhealthy relationship dynamics. Basically, attachment styles are patterns of behavior and emotional responses that develop early in life and have a lasting impact on our relationships throughout adulthood. Our attachment styles as adults is shaped by our early experiences with caregivers. Caregivers could be our parent, nannies, significant others, who provide care to us in childhood. This influences how people navigate intimate relationships in adulthood. If we understand our attachment styles, and that of our partner, we are better positioned to manage our shortcomings, and leverage on our strengths in relationship, not only for ourselves, but also for our partner. Attachment styles depict a person's characteristic ways of relating in intimate caregiving and receiving relationships with attachment figures, often one's parents, children, and romantic partners. The concept involves one's confidence in the availability of the attachment figure for use as a secure base from which one can freely explore the world when not in distress, as well as a safe haven from which one can seek support, protection, and comfort in times of distress. In psychological terms, attachment simply means lasting psychological connectedness between human beings, and may be considered interchangeable with psychological concepts like affectional bond and emotional bond. Understanding attachment styles can provide insight into adult relationships and personal growth. In summary, understanding your own attachment style helps you mindfully pay attention to how you form connections with others. Attachment styles refer to the way a person relates to others. The attachment style is formed early on in life. It can determine how we form intimate relationships or how we parent our children or form other friendships. Whoa, that's a great introduction, insightful and simple to understand. Thank you, Dr. Meredith, for that. Moving forward, can you simply list out the different types of attachment styles that we have? Definitely, in our discussion in this episode, I will be talking about 4 different attachment styles. The first one is what is called the secure attachment style, the second is the dismissive avoidant attachment style. The third one is called the anxious preoccupied attachment style, while the final one we will talk about is called fearful avoidant attachment style. Thank you for highlighting the various attachment styles for us. Let's now explore them one after the other. I will want us to start with the first one you mentioned, which is the secure attachment style. Can you explain to us what it means, while you list out the attributes and features of this particular style? Yeah, I will be starting from the secure attachment style. Arguably 50% of the population fall within this category. For people with secure attachment styles, it is relatively easy for them to become emotionally close to others. They are comfortable depending on others, and having others depend on them. They don't worry excessively about being alone or having others not accept them. they most times feel comfortable and loving in a committed relationship. They enjoy intimacy and connection, and they do not spend excessive time worrying about their relationships. They can go with the flow when it comes to love and romance, and don't often get unnecessarily upset about relationship issues. People with secured attachment styles are averagely good communicators, and they are able to easily and comfortably share their needs and feelings with their partner. They are also able to read and understand their partner's emotional cues and then respond to them appropriately. They share their successes, worries, or concerns with their partner, and they are able to be there for them if they need them. People with secure attachments are able to set appropriate boundaries. The level of give and take in the relationship is fairly even. They tend to start relationships slowly, getting to know their partner over time. Being warm and loving in a relationship comes naturally to them. They enjoy being intimate without becoming overly worried about their relationships. They take things in stride when it comes to romance, and don't get easily upset over relationship matters. They effectively communicate their needs and feelings to their partner and are strong at reading their partner's emotions and responding to them appropriately. That was really insightful and eye-opening. Can we now move to the second attachment style, which is dismissive avoidant attachment style? Go ahead and do justice to that. Definitely. The dismissive avoidant type is an attachment style that mostly results from emotional negligence in childhood. Negligence could be parents who are dismissive of their child's emotional needs or not being always available. The dismissive avoidant learns at a young age that they will not get their emotional needs met through other people, so they repress the idea altogether. They are comfortable without close emotional relationships. It is important for them to feel independent and self-sufficient, and they prefer not to depend on others or have others depend on them. Independence and self-sufficiency are extremely important to people with avoidant attachment styles. When in an intimate relationship, they will fight for their freedom and autonomy. Sometimes they are aware of it, at times they are not. They exhibit behavior that helps them strive for autonomy and freedom. They may feel overwhelmed when they have an intimate partner who wants to be all around them all the time. Intimate relationships can feel claustrophobic. Although they want to feel connected to others to a large extent, but they may also feel very uncomfortable if they feel there is too much closeness. They prefer to keep their relationships casual, and their partner at a comfortable emotional distance. They don't spend much time worrying about their romantic relationships, or about being rejected. They prefer not to share too much information about their self, or what they do. Their partner will often complain that they feel unimportant to them, and that they are emotionally distant. In a committed relationship, they are constantly on the lookout for any signs that their partner is trying to control them or trying to take away the personal freedom. After connection or intimacy, they may withdraw for periods of time. They may also talk openly about previous relationships and partners, which can make their current partner uncomfortable and worried about how secure the relationship is. They tend to have very rigid or strict boundaries and can become very offended if people try to get too close to them. They often prefer autonomy to intimate relationships. Even though they do want to be close to others, they feel uncomfortable with too much closeness, and tend to keep their partner at arm's length. They don't spend much time worrying about their romantic relationships or about being rejected. They tend not to open up to their partners, and their partners often complain that they are emotionally distant. In relationships, this set of people is often on high alert for any signs of control or impingement on your territory by their partner. Also, it could be difficult getting them to having an emotional conversation. They sometimes use humor or sarcasm to delve away from talking about what's on their mind or what is really going on with them. It's also important to note that most people in this category usually have a positive internal self-view, self-reliant, but they may have a negative outlook on others. They don't really trust others or the outside world to be competent enough to handle things. They also may get to have few close friends or relationships outside of their intimate relationship. Even could have a couple of superficial friendship, listen to others talk to them about intimate things, but for them, they don't easily get to open up about the personal issues or things. They avoid talking about their emotions, they have high emotional avoidance, but they exhibit low anxiety. Thank you, Dr. Meredith, for sharing these important information with us. Let's now go to the third attachment style. The third attachment styles I'll be discussing here is the anxious preoccupied attachment styles. People who have this type of attachment style usually want to be completely emotionally intimate with others, but they often find that others are reluctant to get as close as they would like. This set of people is uncomfortable being without close relationships, but they sometimes worry that others don't value them as much as they value others. If this is your predominant way of connecting with others, you will love to be as close as you can to your romantic partners. You long for and crave connection and intimacy. You may fear that your partner doesn't want to be as close to you as you do to him, her. You may also doubt their love for you. When you begin a relationship, it can feel all-consuming and you may spend lots of time thinking about the relationship. You may also feel like you're on an emotional roller coaster ride, with intense feelings of happiness but some strong fears about how the relationship will progress. People with anxious attachment styles can be very sensitive to their partner's moods and actions. They often attribute negative thoughts to them, that their partner is angry or upset with them or something they have done. They may also take their partner's behavior personally, and want to fix things for them. They may become upset easily, and feel a lot of negative emotions in the relationship, especially if they feel their partner is not listening to them. Not paying attention to them may feel like their partner is pulling away from them. As a result of these thoughts and feelings, they might act out and be very emotional, saying and doing things they regret later. They may struggle to set appropriate boundaries in their relationship. They may also tend to give more in the relationship than their partner does. They may get involved in relationships very quickly, and want the relationship to progress to a commitment stage as soon as possible. So they love to be very close to their romantic partners, and have the capacity for great intimacy. They often fear, especially when their partner does not wish to be as close as they would like him or her to be, doesn't mean they don't love you. Relationships tend to consume a large part of their emotional energy. Because they tend to be very sensitive to small fluctuations in their partner's moods and actions. Although their senses are often accurate, they may take their partner's behaviors too personally. People with this attachment style often experience a lot of negative emotions within the relationship and get easily upset. As a result, they tend to act out and say things they later regret. Individuals with anxious avoidant attachment style often hate the feelings of being alone. They always need someone to provide them with reassurance. They may move between super high level and lows of lows or on the verge of breaking up within a short period. These individuals do have a negative internal self-view and a positive view of others. Even when things doesn't go well, they're likely going to blame themselves more, even for what they are not responsible for. They do have a lot of communication issues in relationship, mostly because they over-communicate due to their negative self-view and their internal state of unhealthy self-criticism. They also always want to fix their partner. This is more pronounced. For them it is easier to take care of others' needs than themselves. Women than men are more likely to be in this category. That was detailed and comprehensive. There is so much to learn on this topic, and I'm glad you're doing justice to it. Let's now touch on the final one, which is the fearful avoidance style. Thanks. The final attachment style we will discuss is what I'll call fearful avoidant attachment style. They are usually somewhat uncomfortable getting close to others. Most times, they want an emotionally close relationships, but they find it difficult to trust others completely, or to depend on them, sometimes worry that they will be hurt if they allow themselves to become too close to others. They most times have a negative view of themselves and negative views of others. They sometimes don't really trust or like themselves. They may feel less of who they are. They may also internalize their negative attributes and also don't really trust others. In adulthood, fearful avoidant people tend to be more dialectic about their need for other people. So on one hand, they really want a close relationship, and on the other hand, they don't want an intimate relationship. They fear it, and they are not interested in investing a lot in it. So in order to bridge these two extremes, they may act differently depending on how they're feeling at a given moment. This makes people around them see them as highly unpredictable and unstable, which they actually are. Although they may have a small group of friends who they may feel more comfortable with, but when with others they can be very dismissive. So in summary, they kind of embody both the preoccupied type and the dismissive avoidant type to some degree. People with fearful attachment styles usually have the belief of being too broken to be loved. They internalize their negative attributes and believe that they can't be loved as a result of their shortcoming. They nurse thoughts like, all men want one thing from me, or all women are just after what they can get from me, they are not interested in loving me for who I am. People who are fearful avoidant, in general, they are the ones who possess the most psychological risks of all of the four types, and so they are a little bit more prone to anxiety and depression. Individuals with the fearful avoidant attachment style are actually more afraid of abandonment than the preoccupied types. Most times they are not willing to give over their entire sense of self to be in a relationship, and so they have the fear of abandonment. A recent study around the sex life of people who have fearful avoidant attachment style, and it turns out that in general, they have more sexual partners than the other three attachment styles. They also tend to say yes to dates and say yes to sex to individuals who they are not necessarily that interested in. So it's more of an hybrid of dismissive avoidant and anxious preoccupied. The person will want closeness, and then they will pull away all of a sudden. They may choose to pull away and cutting that person off and not looking back. In situations when they eventually get into an intimate relationship, they find it hard to leave when there is a need to do so. They accept the horrible treatment they get in their intimate relationship, they see it as something that is general, they fear the aftermath of leaving the relationship. It is reported that arguably about 5% of the population fall within this category. As a matter of caution, it's always good not to over-identity with the labels, as this is meant for better insight and personal growth. Most people have a mix of these styles, but we do have one that is more pronounced in us as individuals. These are valuable information that you've communicated to us, Dr. Meredith. We have to end this episode at this point. If you have questions, feel free to drop them in the comment section, or send it via our email. I believe you have learned quite a lot from this episode. Kindly like, comment and share this video. And if you are yet to subscribe to the Animation Therapist channel, please do so as to be able to reach out to more people, and create more mental health awareness. Thank you for watching, and look out for the next episode.